I thought
I started it so we can commence even without a quorum.
Yeah, Hope did email me, so I'll call the meeting to, Hope's not coming, but I'll call the meeting, meeting's called to order at 6:01. Let me find my agenda. And after a moment of silence and then a question. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have to skip the approval of the minutes for this month and last month, I believe. Oh, no, last month they did approve.
Yeah, the only one on the agenda is May 11th.
Okay, so I have to skip that. And then Buck just came in a couple minutes ago and resigned from the board verbally, so he has to submit a physical, like a letter of resignation. So we're looking for another board member at this point. Mark already is aware, so if you know someone that would be an asset to this team, please let me know. We can talk to them and put them through the borough process. They have to get elected by the borough, of course.
so then what, as of like right now, we're not able to really do anything until we get one more person.
We just can't vote right now because we don't have quorum sitting here.
Gotcha.
But
But as a whole, we have enough members.
as a whole, we have enough members to still exist, but
Okay.
there's still, we have to try to fill the vacancy that's not an immediate, like, has to be done right now.
Okay.
And then movies in the park, I'd like to propose that we cancel, I mean, not even cancel because they weren't technically scheduled, but the June and August movies and just limit it to July 14th and September 15th at Maple and then Columbia Crossing. We can't technically vote on that, but I guess that's what's happening then because we're not doing June.
What happened? Can I have a group of that?
Just timing, and they weren't, the rights and stuff weren't acquired in time for June, and then they were $500 a movie, and then to save money, we're like, let's do 2 instead of 4.
Gotcha.
Now, like, I was under, like, is there like a special movies in the park fund, or that just was like money that was out of our fund, like out of the park and recs fund? Because that's the only reason why I said it. I was like, that with us trying to have the fundraisers, that we want to have a few dollars in there in case we need to spend something.
I mean, it's budgeted for movies in the park,
Right.
but if it's not spent, it just stays in there for next year
Right.
or other things.
Okay.
And I think with the,
That's not
true.
No, if you're allotted $500 this year and you don't spend any of it, or you spend $400 of it, next year you're still only allotted $500. It doesn't get combined. So the budget resets each year.
So there's
And
no
you
rule.
can call in or talk to Mark, talk to Tammy Bennett, our finance manager, for clarification on that. But again, it's my understanding that it doesn't roll over and get added to next year's allotment. Your allotment resets.
So
Yeah.
I think we should find out how much money we have in that budget that's allotted for movies in the park, make sure we spend it, or if we don't spend it, we lose it, right?
Yeah.
I think my understanding from Mark though was it's a mix of like, you don't spend it, you lose it, but the borough still has the money. And I think that he tries to keep it for us. So I'll ask him for clarification on that. And then Kurt, if you just send the movie and the date to Tammy Bennett, she can talk to Swang.
Okay,
So they need to know the date, the movie, and like the specific park.
okay. No problem. Yeah, I'll just forward the email to her that I sent to Swain.
And then the Remake Maple fundraiser, so, let me read this email from Hope that I just got as I was walking here, and then so on. So she said Isaacs and Starview confirmed beer and they will pour samples, so we don't have to do the drink ticket thing. Johnny said a nice thing to do is to give them a stipend, so maybe $100 to each of them, just as like a thank you for being here. Mark and Val Wines sounded interested, but haven't confirmed availability. If anyone else has a wine contact, that would be a good time to reach out to them. She has requests out for silent auction items, and so far has 7 positive responses, including John Wright Restaurant, Watch and Clock Museum, River Road Produce, and Diana Thomas. She sent personal emails today, so I expect to hear more in the next few days. So that's all great. In talking in some emails with Mark and talking to him just now, he reassured some things that I was kind of thinking. I don't want to, I'm not saying I want to necessarily cancel this August thing, but I think we can pivot and turn it into something different because we have more time to raise this money than I think we were all initially thinking that we did. Because at this point, I don't want to ask people for money until I can specifically tell them what it's going for. Yes, it's going to Maple Park, but what are we doing? And we don't know the answer to that until we have all the plans set with the borough engineer and Mark, and like I'm not gonna sell just like grills and bricks and whatever until I know how many grills and bricks and benches we have to sell.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think Mark said we could do that event in the spring and that would still give us more than enough time. And yes, the goal is 50,000 in general. But if we don't, you just said that if we don't raise the 50,000, that doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. It's just anything that we can contribute to this is helpful, but it's not 100% necessary. So that's good and comforting, and it's not just all on our shoulders.
And we don't feel so rushed to.
So like, where exactly does it come from if we only raise $5,000? Like, I'm just asking, like, is there like a source of where it comes from, or the borough just covers whatever is short, or how does that? I mean, because like me, I'm like, I understand that, but to be able to do an evening in August at the Market House, I feel as if you could like my god brother, he does like high-end dining, like 5 courses, like things like that, and I just think that like. I don't know, like, I feel as if the August thing, like you said, it could like kind of get the excitement going to where, okay, this is happening. And I mean, like, I talked to a few people over the weekend, just at the basketball tournament, some people who I know might be assets, like as far as making these fundraisers a success, and like people are ready to spend that kind of money for bricks. Like, I see folks spending because like, I don't know, I mean, like, I understand that, but, I just want to, like, actually, like, get busy doing something. I just don't want to do movies in the park and like, to come to meetings every second Thursday. Like, I feel as if there's enough things going on, there's enough ideas to where you can do 8 or 9 fundraisers and make 5,000 a fundraiser versus having to hit it out the park. Or, what I mean? That's just my personal belief. There's a lot of people that are excited about Maple Park getting a revitalization and things like that. And I just think that the time is now, because in the springtime, folks might not have no money. Folks might be broke by spring. Like, we are in the middle of a recession right now, so I'm kind of like, not to say that you want to attack people, But it's like, hey, it's like someone that's like running for office. There's certain times you can ask for your money, and there's certain times when people aren't going to be as giving. And I just think that while like a lot of people are actively at Maple Park this summer playing with their kids and things like that, we just had the men's 5-on-5 for the 18th year. I think we got to keep riding that wave. We can't have 4 months where we're just dead and we're playing and all of a sudden we're just coming out of the woodwork and they're like, who are you? Like, I actually have an idea for like the Columbia Parks and Recs to host a men's 5-on-5 basketball every weekend. Every year. Where that's the Columbia Park and Recs 5-on-5 basketball tournament. Every time I have my tournament, all the men have an appetite for more basketball. So I'm like, if we can put the Columbia Park and Recs name, which is can be synonymous with having the men's tournament, have a flag football tournament, like different little small things like that, to just get people more familiar with who it is, our mission, and things like that. But I don't know, I think that the August thing might not have to be as high scale as what we were shooting for. No, okay, yeah.
Heather, can you by chance answer the question of where does the money come from if we don't?
Because I want it to be on the page. Whatever money is not covered by grants would have to be covered by the borough. Would have to come out of our budget. There's no line item this year for that, for capital. And I'm not sure what it's going to look like next year. We just had the auditor in this morning to review the audit, and that's going to be presented to full council on Tuesday. The capital fund is not flush with cash. There is not a big pot of money. I would say we had the big plan, but I know from when the park master plan was put into place, it was done in a manner that you could pick and choose so that you did not have to do all of it all at once. I would also suggest looking at that to see what, I know there's the 20% that we have to match, and that's fine. But beyond that, I can't commit to anything. The other thing I will say is, and the reason I came tonight was because, I keep asking, we're not seeing any minutes, what's going on with Parks and Rec. None of the fundraising ideas or any of that has been cleared through council. And yes, while the line item is for Parks and Rec, we still have to approve those expenditures. And we still have to make sure that we are covered with our solicitor. So, I'm not trying to dissuade you from anything, but before the plans go too far, it really needs to come before council to make sure that everyone's okay with this. Because without that, the question of where does the extra money come from, that's kind of a moot point. Because if council isn't on board with the plans, it doesn't matter where the extra money comes from because there's no need for it.
So, are like you referring to like the plans for the park or the plans for us to fundraise to get the funds to match?
Well, both. We already had the park master plan, but what I'm saying is it was done in a way that it could be segmented out and you could choose not to do some things. I was under the impression like that extra money from Pepsi was for extras, the nice to haves. If that's the case, can they just be cut out? What is the plan now? What are you looking to do? How much extra is needed based on that park master plan? But also the fundraising thing, I have
concerns because we had talked about that before when there was other issues, there were other things happening with the last board that was trying to raise funds, and there were a lot of legal things that our solicitor brought up that we would need to work through before we could just launch into some campaign.
I'm sorry, do you have like a list or something?
I do not remember because it's been so long, but that's why, it's been a couple years, but that's why, you know, we had tried to impress upon you guys that before you go too far, it needs to come to council so that council either gets behind it or doesn't get behind it, and, you know, that's just, like I said, it's been so long. Mark, do you remember, I mean, there were budget things like from the accounting perspective that we would have to do to accommodate fundraising and everything, which we, to be honest, do not have the bandwidth to do. Our staff does not have the bandwidth to do everything that would be required to account for that money. That's another barrier, because frankly, I mean, we're down in admin, and there's a lot of other things that need to happen.
I mean, like, I don't really think though, like, for like the fundraiser at the market house, all you gotta do is let us use the venue. You know, we don't need no money from you guys for that. Like,
but the issue comes when we are taking in the money from that. We have to account for that.
right.
It has to have certain places in the budget and everything else.
So is there any way that you can get us a kind of like an outline, say, before we like decide on what fundraisers we want to do? Okay, so you have to do this, this, and this in order for us to bring them.
Well, I mean, that's where the solicitor comes in, and we would have to talk to him. He's gonna want specifics on what is being planned. He's not gonna just give a big broad umbrella.
So, you know, would it be possible to request a special session and request the solicitor to sit in on the session so that we can, because, you know, I just feel as if you got him right here live and direct, and if all of us meet and put all of our ideas down and we have him right here, how does this look? Oh, you're going to have to change that. So then, you know, an hour or two after that session, you can pretty much have it. Hey.
Well, and that's why we always welcome you guys to come to council, because he's here every meeting.
Okay.
So let me just,
Okay.
I can take some time on this. I talked to the solicitor specifically about the fundraiser for Maple Park. In principle, he's okay with the idea of raising money. We as a borough are not allowed under Pennsylvania law to do small games of chance. How you get around that, I say get around it, how it's done in other communities and how it's done legally is we get the Lions Club, we get the fire department, we get someone else to sponsor that event, raise the money and earmark it specifically for the park. So that's how those kind of things can happen. If we are simply accepting donations for something, and Sylvia and I talked about this right before the meeting. If somebody says, you know, I'd like to sponsor a barbecue grill, I'd like to sponsor a bench out there, I'd like to sponsor something, what's going on out there, we can do that. Every one of those sponsorships that come in, every one of those people who donate money, then have to get a donation form from the borough to show that their donation is tax deductible. So then we have to go out and fill out a 10, whatever that form number. Laura, do you remember the name of the form is when you have to give a tax deduction for the donation? Okay. So all that has to be in line and take place. So I don't need that here for you guys to sit down and say, well, can we sell Frisbees versus can we have a bake sale? We know what we can and can't do. This is more of, let's get a specific plan on what we would like to have done, how we would like to do it. Backing up a step from that, the next step in us getting the money from DCNR is we have to go out for bid and have the final plans drawn up for this project. And then we're gonna have to go out to bid to have a construction company actually do the work. Once we get the final plans done, and we know what we're doing, I think that's the time then to say, hey, listen, would you like to sponsor this item here? The dog fountain, water fountain, whatever. And then people can put a little plaque on it and do stuff like that. So I would say that we're almost a little bit ahead of the game right now. Let's get the final plans designed. Like Heather was saying, maybe some of these things that the 50,000 would have covered, we can save for phase 2. We can put them in the next part of the park improvements, or we can go after another grant to do that. Let's figure out what we can do with the money that we have from DCNR and get all that locked in. And I think that's a good way to go forward with this.
Yeah, so either way, Maple Park's gonna get a makeover.
Yeah.
It was just that grant would have helped put it over the top versus just like not a modest makeover, but, like you said, not all the bells and whistles, because of the extra funds. So then there's an amount there already for Maple Park. It was just us raising that money was gonna help put it over the top.
And we can still do that. That's the good part.
Okay.
And I still want to do that. I have worked in enough communities where the community has come around and they have put in added amenities to an existing park, to a redevelopment of a park. This can go on for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? It's not we have one shot to get all this done perfect right the first time. We can keep adding to it. The stuff that we're going to be putting in, the bathroom, the facilities, the added basketball court, the improved lighting, the trail, the ADA pathway, the parking, all the good stuff going in there, all that's still happening. We'll still have room to put in the picnic tables and some of the grills. But maybe if you want to raise some money to put in some of the extra fun stuff, let's do that. I just want to say, don't in any way be discouraged. We just got to get this thing in the right order.
Right, yeah, I mean,
This is a beautiful thing.
we just have to make sure it's all right in line. And
Yeah.
we don't jump over things so that we
Yeah,
don't.
it's gonna look great.
be
It's
successful.
gonna look fantastic.
So then pretty much what you're saying is that we should put our energy towards really, really dissecting that master plan and really coming up with what we feel as if are the essential things that need to be handled through what's in the DCNR.
Yeah, we've done that. I think the next step is bringing a consultant on board, and I want them to come in and have a session with you guys to go over the plan. Let's go over in detail, look at true cost numbers for everything, let them scope out everything, and then we can look at, okay, we're 100,000 over budget right now. What are these items can we cut? What do we want to trim down on? Let's get that consultant on board. Let's get that thing. Then we sit down with you guys, and that consultant will go through it line by line. I mean, Ann has done 99% of that work.
Yeah.
The consultant just has to be set up according to certain specific guidelines by the state because of the funding source, that's all.
That makes me feel better. When you first came in here and said that, I felt really defeated, but how you just put it now that we can continue to add things, we don't have to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you for clarifying all that. So back to, then the August thing. My initial feeling is that we don't do it because it hasn't gone anywhere at this point. And that doesn't mean that anything that we talked about is wasted time because we're just doing it later. I think it's still the right idea. I think it's still good to get people into the Market House. It's one of our community buildings and all that good stuff. But it doesn't have to be right now. Yeah.
So a good example of that is Chris Vera, who is our manager for the Market House, is doing a fundraiser on Juneteenth to raise money for the Zion Cemetery. He is doing it under the cover, if you will, of the Historic Preservation Society. So it's not a borough-sponsored event, it's a Historic Preservation Society event, so that he can raise the money through that nonprofit, then donate that money to the borough, or put in the improvements. They put interpretive panels up, they're doing all kinds of improvements out there. Borough-owned land, it's the borough's cemetery. They, as a nonprofit, are coming in beside us to help raise the money for it. So I would say, let's put some time and energy into finding a nonprofit organization that wants to get behind this. The Merchants Association, Lions Club, the church down there. I mean, anyone.
Park rangers.
The park rangers, any group that's an established 501c3 or 2 can have that kind of ability to sponsor this, be the fundraiser for it. And then we can channel the money through them. They then make a single one check donation to us, and it's done. That make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And you said about the park rangers, that'll probably be a good one to consider that as part of park.
Are they a formal group?
I don't know that they are. I don't know that they are.
We can find out.
But that may also be a service opportunity for like the moose or the elks or something like that. Because part of their thing is service as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we have no shortage of nonprofits here in
Yeah, groups that want to do good stuff here.
that want to do good things.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this is an easy thing for them to do.
You know what? Throwing out a crazy idea here. We could approach Bill Floyd and see if the Jansen Foundation wants to partner with us.
I thought about that too.
Because they have a grant from DCNR to fix up Jansen Park. Yep, do a big fundraiser to make improvements in both parks. Let them channel the money, they're good at that.
Will you either start that conversation or share his contact?
I will be glad to start it and include you in, you guys can then jump on it. Yeah, we'll reach out to a few groups. I mean, you reach out to Bill, you've reached half the groups anyway. How many boards he's on?
That's true.
You've got about half the communities here in town with him on board.
And if Jansen doesn't want to do it, I mean, he might be able to put you in a direction of someone of another group that would be a better fit or willing to
Absolutely, yeah.
help.
And then, my thought would be, you still do a lot of the legwork, you still help pull things together, but under their cover, their nonprofit status.
Right, you just have to make it clear that people would be giving money to whatever that organization is
For the purpose of.
for the purpose of.
Yeah, we just went through all this too with the TNR program here, the Cat Action Team. They went under the Columbia Animal Shelter as a nonprofit organization so they could do fundraising and stuff because it gets very complicated for boroughs to do fundraising.
Yeah.
So we just separated them from us for that reason, so now they're going out doing fundraisings for TNR.
And we are not alone in this,
No.
just so you know. We were just up at a conference and for the Boroughs Association, and that was a big discussion of how can boroughs get extra money and, beyond what they're legally allowed to do. And, there are others out there that are in our situation. They want to do fundraisers, but it's very difficult because of the way the borough code and the laws are written.
Yeah, but this is an easy way to get, I keep saying get around it, this is an easy way to still do that.
But this is the way we can circumvent those rules to stay legal, so to speak, and still accomplish what we want to accomplish.
And in this town, we have enough groups that would jump all over this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a question, like, say we put like some things in motion and we got like some events planned out, some fundraising and stuff like that. And then what happens if like some people on this board, their term expires before those things are executed? Like, do those things go back to the, like from scratch and then you gotta,
No.
Okay.
If it's been approved by the board, if it's been approved by council, the approval stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Well, and feel good too that this grant money that we got from DCNR is unique. I know I talked about it when we were here last time. The standard DCNR grant is a 50-50 match. They did a very rare grant run where they worked with local municipalities specifically that met the criteria where this one is an 80-20 split. So we only have to find a 20% match for this grant, not the normal 50% match. They talked about that at the conference too. How
Yes.
this was a one-time thing. And they actually told their regional reps, work with your communities that you know can qualify and do this and have projects that are ready.
Mhm.
And Lori Ike, our DCNR representative, came to us and said, hey, listen, I'd like to talk to you about this. I'd like you guys to apply.
Mhm.
Everything still went through the formal process. All our grant applications had to be reviewed by our grant board,
Yeah.
approved. But we were far enough along because of the work you guys did, because of the work done before with the master plan and everything, they got us this money.
Mhm.
So feel good that we got this big grant to do this work, and feel good that we're gonna get it done.
Yes, and I did thank DCNR over the conference, because they were one of the vendors. Oh, whatever, I'm like, thank you, you've been a wonderful partner for Columbia Borough.
I saw them at a conference I was at in Hershey, and the person that was working with us didn't know when I
Right.
said about the 80-20, they're like, oh, wow, that's a good deal.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So what is the timeline when we have to have all this done?
Next Tuesday is fine.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We have to get through all these hoops with DCNR first. So Derek Ronaldo, our borough engineer, and I are working on getting the RFP out for the park plan. It's 90% written because he just did this for another community. So we're taking the one that he has already done for another community, we're just gonna change the names, put our information into it, and that should be out in the next 2 weeks or so. Once we get that done and back, that has to go to council to have council approve the best qualified bid. Then we'll start working with this consultant, which again, it shouldn't take long because most of the work's done.
Right.
Once they get the final cost opinions and everything else done and locked in, we have to go out for bid for construction. Which I would like to get both of those done this calendar year to start in 2024 when the renovations are done.
Are we going to need any comments from the event? We shouldn't, right?
We're not disturbing enough, we should be under the threshold, but that's we'll have to look at that and see. I don't think we will.
Because that, if anything holds it up, that's where
Yeah,
it,
DEP part stuff. I'm kidding.
I mean, yeah. At least we don't have to deal with the other one. And not.
Thank you for coming, clarifying all of this for us.
Thank you for the hard work you guys do.
Yes.
Hey, I know I talked about this before when I've been here too. We have a beautiful town. We have some amazing open space and park areas, and we have more coming. You guys are gonna be handed another 17 acres on the McGinnis tract here probably in the next year sometime and start looking at what we wanna do down there and get that done. I can't look this way because Heather has made me promise and swear that down there in that area is gonna be an active playground for the kids in that neighborhood. And we have space for it. It's gonna be fantastic. We even have equipment already to put down there. So,
Told you that was the only way I'm
That's
gonna guess on
the-
McGinnis. That was the only way I'm gonna guess on McGinnis was if I could get a playground down there.
the phase 3 of River Park is moving forward ever so slowly. It's being delayed right now because of the 462 bridge project. So we're trying to dance around the state on how we can time out those improvements, but that's still moving forward and looking good.
And that bridge project is actually, has been pushed back a lot as well, so,
Always something, right?
Always,
yep.
so good stuff to come. Anything else you guys need? Okay.
So, a motion to adjourn the meeting?